who do you think is your equivalent Pokemon?
Like my partner Pokemon or the Pokemon I am?
The Pokemon that you are, and you can't
Snorlax.
say the phrase. I was going to say Snorlax. Dang it.
You can't say what phrase.
It's like a Native American phrase.
Gotcha. Yes.
Yeah, I would go with Snorlax as well.
Yeah. That or, I mean, if I thought harder, I'd probably say like.
I would say maybe coughing because of all of the bad gas clouds I produce.
Welcome to Namely 90s. Wow. The podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right. You're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and over there's Brandon.
That's me.
You can find us online at namely90s.com or on Twitter and Instagram at namely90s with a 90s. And if you want to watch the show on YouTube, you can find us at youtube.com/@namely90s. Finally, if you'd like to support the show, head over to patreon.com/namely90s, also with a 90s, and get signed up for one of those support levels. Well, how are you? Hopefully better than that Silicon Valley Bank that Twitter torpedoed, right?
Is Twitter the reason for that?
Apparently, panic on Twitter led to that or something.
Well, I mean, it makes sense if you're like, oh, hey, I'm a big company and I just tried to withdraw my funds, and apparently they don't have enough liquid money to cover me.
Well, for a bank that has all that money because of all the plastic surgery that is done in that area. I mean,
well, actually, did you hear the reason why more or less reputable news sources such as, like, say, Fox News think the bank went down?
Breitbart. Yeah, why was that?
They were too woke. They were too woke. They just finished celebrating LGBTQ month or something, which it wasn't. It was Women's Month, and the CEO is a woman, who supports trans rights. So too woke. That's why they failed.
The citation for that is Infowars.com.
You could actually just find Fox News, because that's not an actual credible source. But that's where they did a clip package of it on the Daily Show. Cal Penn's on this week, so he interviewed Biden.
Right.
But yeah, I was just like, this can't. I mean, of course it is. Of course that's what they think. But I was like, how did we reach this point?
As I said, Infowars, Fox News. That's what I said.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, well, it's been a bit, hasn't it? Has it been a week? A little bit more than a week? I don't remember.
Less than a week.
You were kind of sick last time.
Well, no, we recorded last Tuesday.
Oh.
And it's currently Tuesday.
Boy, how time flies.
Yeah. You literally do not remember the last episode.
Have you survived the atmospheric river?
There's one going on right now. If listeners listen closely enough, you might be able to hear it pass our microphone filters.
Atmospheric river.
Yeah, this is the third one we've had. I think it's just a term for, hey, we're California. We were in a drought and we never thought we'd see water again. So
raining AF.
Yeah, we weren't prepared for when it actually did come back. Because the ground has been dry, so it can't absorb the water. So hitting it with so much water that it can't absorb it is doing some bad things.
And for some reasons, either side is still mad at the governor for some reason about the rain or the water or COVID or masks.
Yeah. Both sides.
Yeah, exactly. It's a disaster, and well, a natural disaster, if you will. Anyway, what's new?
Let's see. I was sexually harassed at karaoke the other night.
Oh,
that was
sexually harassed. By another man, I presume.
No, by a woman. Well, on a date with a different woman.
Well, it's better than the time the homeless guy punched you on a date.
I know, right? But almost. Okay, so
it was the same homeless guy, but he was sexually harassing you.
Yeah, he managed to get in past the bouncer, and things got weird again. Well, okay, so
bouncer's right.
Long story short, the karaoke night we were at is kind of like, it's a Sunday night, so it's like a lot of restaurants aren't open on Monday, so all their staff, it's like an industry type thing where they go out and just party Sunday night. Excuse me. And one person comes in with a big crew, and every time she would go to the bar, she would unbutton a button on my shirt.
Wow.
Yes. Because the bartenders were wearing like 3 buttons down and matching paisley shirts for some reason. But so she was like, you gotta be able to match those guys. Might get a tip. I'm like, I don't like where this is going.
I'm just immediately going to start looking like a lounge lizard.
Yes.
You know?
But you know, it was all in good fun, and my date was laughing at it too. So
I mean, it was for charity, right? Wait.
Yeah. Me.
No.
So naturally I was playing into it, and then 2 more disappeared. 1 more. By the end of the night, I had like the deepest V I've ever had on myself, and then she slipped me a 5 into my open V.
Deepest V.
Yeah. So that was my story from karaoke. Also, I didn't start the timer, so I don't know where we are.
Yeah, just guess. Okay. Good.
But yes. I would say we're like around 6 minutes, but yeah, that was something that happened to me. What happened to you in the last week?
Let's see. Well, I worked a bunch. We did a software changeover at work. That was exciting. Everyone loves change.
Oh yeah.
Haven't you found that to be true? Especially when it comes to technology.
Remember Obama? He was about change.
Thanks, Obama. Yeah, so that was kind of interesting. We had one of the people coming to implement it was from London. But he had a very proper British accent.
You know, guys and ladies do listen to our regular show too.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to judge and critique your Londoner accents.
It was very proper. I don't know. Proper. I mean, because it kind of runs the gamut. You'd be like, "Hello, governor.
I'm charmingly befuddled.
We're here to install your software." Anyway, yeah, we even listened to Andrew slip into his offensive English accent. It's really bad. I fully admit that.
I don't know. I think they've said you have better English accents than I do.
We were talking about the fact the date format was day, month, year, which like is logical. But in the US, we do month, day, year.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was kind of like being apologetic about it. I'm like, well, us Americans. And I was like, wait a second.
Why are you?
And I actually said this. I was like, wait a second. You guys can't decide on the imperial versus metric system. You're like miles for this, gallons for that, kilometers for this, meters for that. You guys are you're out of control. Leaders. They literally, they calculate miles per gallon, but I believe they actually use the unit of liters to dispense gasoline.
Well, because beer comes from Germany and they use metric. Well, I guess they have their own beer, but they're all drunk.
Well, I just need to know. Maybe Gaz and Dane can shed some light on the dichotomy between the imperial and metric systems.
I'll ask them. We should be having Quotely 90s from them next week. So
I mean, the English did invent imperialism pretty much. So no, that's not true. But they definitely perfected it. Okay, I'm just digging a hole here. Top of the morning to you, chaps.
Listening to Chatterbox sounds like.
Yeah.
I had a response. I don't remember what it was.
Meanwhile, we can't stop shooting our own citizens. So, there is that.
Yep.
Here in the old US of A.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Bullets don't kill people. Death kills people.
Medical fact, you can't die from a bullet. I think this is the third week we've started
Yeah,
Chatterbox.
But it's so ridiculous. Like, I'm listening to this. It's from like 2000, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's all still so applicable today.
2001.
Well, but they probably recorded it, whatever. It's still so applicable today. That's the sad thing.
Yeah. Even
Anyway.
more.
Applicable?
I've heard
I'm
it both
stalling
ways.
so you can chew. That's stupid.
What?
Yeah. What else? Anything on the horizon for the podcast? I don't think so. Just continued alternations between deep dives and variety shows.
I don't know what the variety show is next week, but I do know that I'm going to be doing 2 deep dives in a row.
Right. I forgot about that.
Or we're going to go back to the specials format for one episode because of the Mario movie that's coming out in 2 weeks.
Sure. Yeah. And my availability has been quite poor between work and travel, so that should loosen up a little bit here soon.
Yeah, same. I'm out of town traveling. I think we're both out of town traveling the next 2 weeks, next 2 weekends I should be out of town, and then you at the same time we swap.
It's
states.
funny. Yeah, I mean, not that we're going to your exact area, but
close enough that I would have joined you.
We go to California when you come to Washington. It's like, what's going on here? Oh, the strangest thing happened today. I was thinking, so there's someone I used to work with and kind of consider him a mentor. And I'm going through some things right now. So I was like, I was thinking during work today, I was like, I should reach out, maybe send an email, maybe give him a call. I don't think I have his phone number on my phone. So I was like, I'll just email him. And he emailed me like 3 minutes later. We haven't talked in 2 years.
Yeah.
I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
But the fact that I was like
he
just
was a
thinking about
friendly
that.
dude.
No, but I was just thinking about it.
Oh, he emailed you.
He emailed me minutes after I had the thought.
Oh, I thought you had emailed him.
No. Minutes after I thought about emailing him, he emailed me. So,
That's cool. Weird. But cool.
Yeah, creepy. I don't know how I feel about that, but it was pretty rad.
So, it's one of those things where your phone's listening to.
Yeah. And then it calls him and tells him that. No.
Maybe he's a part of the government.
So, I kind of feel like that was 10 minutes. So,
that was definitely over 10 minutes.
What are you going to deeply dive into tonight or today? I don't know if it's nighttime for us, but today on Namely 90s.
Okay, so kind of a spoiler warning here. If you're still watching the Pokemon franchise after 25 years. Let's just a slight spoiler warning. I will say spoilers at some point, but this is due to a certain someone leaving a certain show. And
I thought you were going to say the spoiler is Ash gets a Pikachu.
Yes, that is definitely the
spoiler alert.
But yes, let's start our deep dive. Which Andrew will think of a clever name of before this episode gets posted. In February of 1996, Nintendo published a game on the Game Boy by one of their developers called Game Freak. The game, designed by Satoshi Tajiri, was based off of his bug collecting as a child. Releasing with 2 versions to start, red and green, the game was called Pocket Monsters, and it went on to become a cultural phenomenon for over 25 years.
Wait, 96?
Yes, in Japan.
No, but that feels late. I thought it was around longer than that.
No, they celebrated their 25th.
Wow.
2 years ago.
I did not know that was so new when we got into it. I thought it had been around for a long time.
Well, it felt like it'd been around for a long time because, well, I'm about to tell you. The Americans got Pokemon Red and Blue in September of 1998, which was two and a half years after it first released in Japan.
Right.
And last November saw the release of the 9th generation of the mainline series, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, featuring a Spanish-inspired theme to the region and Pokemon. With the popularity of the series, it was only natural to capitalize on the situation by creating an animated series, and so a Pocket Monsters anime was produced following a young boy from Pallet Town named Satoshi, or Ash in the English dubs, and his first partner, Pokemon Pikachu. So the first episode of the Pokemon anime aired in Japan in 1997, April. But outside of Japan, the Pokemon Company International handles its production and distribution, airing in over 192 countries worldwide now. 4Kids Entertainment originally got the U.S. syndication rights for the series and started airing episodes in first run syndication September 8th, 1998, which was 2 weeks before the game came out in North America, 3 weeks. Because I remember, I mean, we've brought this up before. This was on like the kids afternoon block on UPN, which one of my third grade friends showed me, and I was like, well, this is cool. I need to get this game when it comes out. In 1999, the WB started airing episodes on their Saturday morning children's block, Kids WB, which I remember distinctly. Like, we were supposed to go somewhere, and I'm like, no, I need to be here to watch this show.
To watch it on the WB.
Yes, the kids WB.
Kids WB.
Exactly. And let's see, an average Pokemon episode costs $100,000 to make. After the conclusion of the 8th series, Advanced Battle, or the 8th season, sorry, the Pokemon Company took over rights and dubbing, and then, as I out of order said moments ago, they do the international dubbing and distribution in over 192 countries worldwide. And in 2020, Netflix took over broadcasting rights for Pokemon in the United States, where it shows the first run episodes of Pokemon Journeys and the subsequent series, which I know Andrew's seen, I think.
Yeah, a bit.
Yeah.
Kids like it.
It's so weird that it's still going, and now your children are the ones watching.
Yeah,
it.
isn't that weird?
Yeah. So let's talk about Ash and his journeys. When we first meet Ash Ketchum, get it, Andrew?
Because he's got to catch them all.
Yeah, gotta catch them all. The young boy from Pilot Town, he is late to the day Professor Oak gives away starter Pokemon to all the 10-year-olds in town as they begin their own adventure. We meet Ash's rival, Gary, who is Oak's grandson, who picked the last starter Pokemon, Squirtle, which we find out 296 episodes later in Pokemon Johto series. Oak, who knew how many children were registered to get a starter Pokemon that morning, says, "Oops, sorry, Ash, you got here late. They're all gone except for this Pikachu who doesn't like being in his Pokeball." And that's how Ash meets Pikachu. And,
right.
Ash
it's a strained relationship at first.
Yes, because he keeps trying to throw him into the Pokeball, and Pikachu keeps knocking the Pokeball away. Also, Pikachu's lost weight over the years, as I've mentioned before.
Yeah, he used to be this chubby, cute little thing, and now he's got like a little electric rodent 6-pack.
Yeah, he has some nips, he has some tucks, a little lipo over the season. Maybe some of that face stuff that everyone keeps talking about that they're getting rid of now.
The neck fat thing?
Buccal fat,
well, you can now inject.
Isn't it for the cheeks?
I don't know about that, but you can now inject a product into your neck fat that makes it like melt away.
Oh, I haven't heard about that. That would be nice for us.
Yeah.
No, it's like bucolic fat or something.
Okay.
It's I think I don't know.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know what they do with it. So Ash starts going to the next town, Viridian City, and gets attacked. I'm on the road to Viridian City. And he gets attacked by a flock of Spearow led by an evil gang by an evil pharaoh. Wow. I get it. I've never said it aloud before. Who hurt Pikachu. So Ash was trying to get to the Pokemon Center in the next town. He steals this girl's bike. It ends up being Misty. And then Pikachu thunders a flock of bird Pokemon when they're about to kill him and Ash, destroying the bike, which is Misty's reason for following him around across 2 countries.
Sure.
And some islands.
And on that raft ride up to the North Pole.
Yeah. Yes. 3 countries, or 3 continents, or 2 continents, 3 countries. Pikachu. Yeah. So after that, he sees a golden ho-oh fly away over a rainbow. Afterwards, and that definitely hooked every boy from ages 6 to 11 who saw it. Which, according to the ratings, there was a 3.9 Nielsen rating for the first episode that was aired on Kids WB, which is pretty high for a Saturday morning kids cartoon.
Right.
And in that first season, Ash goes on to meet Brock and Misty and travel around his homeland of Kanto, earning badges at Pokemon gyms, collecting new Pokemon friends like Pidgeotto, who evolves into Pidgeot, and then he releases before heading to the Orange Islands because you can't just fly everywhere.
And then he evolves into French car maker Peugeot.
Yeah, exactly, because it's spelled that. It's off by like one.
Peugeot is P-U-G-E-O-T.
Oh, I thought it was P-I-G-E-O-T.
Pidgeot.
Caterpie, who evolves into Metapod and into Butterfree, and then he traded away for Eradicate at one point, got it back, and eventually released it during mating season in the episode Bye Bye Butterfree, and Butterfree got it on with that pink Butterfree, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He got the Bulbasaur, Charmander, the abandoned Charmander that was like abused by his trainer and left to die, eventually evolves into Charmeleon Charizard, who...
That Pokemon is fire.
Yes, he is. He is a fire Pokemon.
God, imagine if I talked like that.
That would be fun. I think that would be fun. Charizard eventually leaves to train at the Charific Valley in Johto before returning a few times and is now back with Professor Oak. Squirtle stays with the Squirtle Squad. Beedrill he brings to Johto and trades with this girl Casey. There's a Primeape who stays to train with the Fighting Dojo. He got a Krabby that evolved into a Kingler. There's a Muck and 30 Tauros, and we will circle back to that one later. And also there's a Mr. Mime that's definitely sleeping with his mom. In the end, Ash took on the Indigo League and made it to the 5th round, placing in the top 16, which was 1 level better than his rival Gary, and he lost because that darn Charizard didn't want to listen to his commands. Which I remember watching that, and I was like, come on, Charizard. So after that, after the Indigo League, Brock starts to stalk this woman when they travel to the Orange Islands. She's a professor. Ash and Misty are joined by Tracy Sketchit. Do you get it? Do you get it? Sketch it. Gotta sketch them all. To figure out the mystery of the GS ball. He also gets a Lapras and a Snorlax. He beats the Orange crew and wins the Orange League, which apparently is not like renowned enough to be considered becoming a Pokemon master.
Is it like an amateur league? It's like a bunch of dudes after work. It's like a bowling league, you know?
Yeah, I mean, their badges were seashells, if I remember correctly.
So she sells seashells by the seashore.
You could just pick up a bunch of shells on the beach and be like, oh yeah, I deserve to be in this league. Yeah. And then he releases the Lapras that he got and back with her pod because it was a baby that he found that was being abused or poached or something. And Tracy stays with Professor Oak.
Poached? You mean lightly boiled?
Yes. It's a little soft. Ash heads to Johto with Brock and Misty to get new badges and compete in their league, where he catches a Heracross, Chikorita / Bayleaf, Cyndaquil / Quilava, Totodile, a shiny Noctowl, which was the first shiny Pokemon we saw on screen, and he hatches an egg to get a Fanfy and Donphan.
Bayleaf, use Braze. Okay.
But yeah, it has like a giant bay leaf on its head.
It's just like you just add it to a savory roast that you bake for 3 hours.
I mean, you could just have it like stir the pot with its head, and then you would probably get the same effect of just throwing a bay leaf in it because no one knows what it does. Ash gets top 8 in the Silver Conference, which was the Johto League. He beats Scary in a full battle at the end, ending their one-sided rivalry. And his friend Harrison beats them both and gets top 4. Brock and Misty get called home after this series to their respective gyms because, remember, they were both gym leaders who decided to leave and travel the world with this random 10-year-old that they met.
Right, which makes no sense.
Ash heads to a new region called Hoenn in Ruby and Sapphire, where he meets May and her younger brother Max. Brock randomly runs into them again because F being a gym leader, I guess. And then Ash left all of his Pokemon with Professor Oak, except for Pikachu, because he would be too OP in this new world just starting out. So he catches a Tailo, eventually evolves into a Swallow. He has the Trico that evolves into a Sceptile eventually, Corphish, Torkoal, and Snorunt that evolves into a Glalie. Scottish. Yeah. How would you pronounce that? I've never.
Glalie.
I feel like I've heard Glalie, because it's that angry ice thing. So I guess that makes it Scottish for some reason. Ash leaves Brock and May and Max behind in Hoenn to travel back to Pallet Town to go to their battle frontier. But then they somehow meet up with him again. He's offered the position of a frontier brain, which was like their battle tower. So in the game, it was like a battle tower, like one of the people that worked at the battle tower that you would battle against. Because you're so good, you should be a trainer that works for them, but declines and chooses to continue on his journey to become a match master. He also catches an Apom during this time, which he will eventually trade to Dawn in the next region. And then May leaves to do Pokemon contests in Johto. Max returns home, and Brock leaves again, but he must be stalking this kid because he shows up in the next region. In Diamond and Pearl, Ash travels to the region of Sinnoh, where no extra H, where he runs into Brock again, meets Dawn, another aspiring Pokemon coordinator like May, catches Staraptor, Turtwig evolves into a Torterra, Chimchar becomes a Primeape, Buizel, I've never said these names out loud before. Gligar evolves into a Glysaur and a Gibble. Ash makes it to the top 4 in this series of the Sinnoh League, which is called the Lily of the Valley Conference. And then Brock and Dawn leave him, and Brock finally decides not to keep traveling with Ash in the future because he wants to become a Pokemon doctor.
Is that a thing? Pokemonarian?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I think because there's a lot of Nurse Joys in every single town and hospital, Pokemon hospital.
I think it set unreasonable expectations for nurses for me.
Because they're not all pink-haired women that have a giant egg following them around.
I'm not going to touch that. I feel like I'm sure there's like petitions and letters having been written by the Christians because they use the word evolve in this show.
Back in the day, I believe there was definitely a lot of that. I mean, there's still probably some of that in the hardcore states, but I think Pokemon has seeped enough into the conscious of us that of the mainstream that there's not as much pushback anymore. But should we take a break?
Hardcore. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go to now let's go to Brandon for the Namely 90s Minute.
Welcome back to our mid-episode break, Namely 90s Minute. Every week we look back at a culturally relevant show, movie, or piece of pop culture that probably helps stoke the algorithm. This week, in honor of our childhood hero, Ash Ketchum, finally being released from the hell of being a 10-year-old for the last 25 years, we're looking back at Pokemon the First Movie. Pokemon the First Movie is the first of 23 films based on the Pokemon anime, all theatrically released in Japan, and the first 20 were in the main Pokemon anime continuity. The movie starts off with Ash, Brock, Misty, and Pikachu.
Actually, the short Pikachu's Vacation starts the movie with the gang's Pokemon at a fall Pokemon theme park and getting into a turf war with Pokemon there until they put aside their differences to get Ash's Charizard's head unstuck from a pipe.
You good?
Yeah. Yes.
Pokemon, the first movie, starts after the short Pikachu's Vacation with Mewtwo awakening.
Actually, in the uncut story of Mewtwo's origin, we learn more about why Dr. Fuji is cloning Mewtwo to resurrect his dead daughter Amber, who he clones as Amber 2, who decomposes and dies, scarring Mewtwo for life.
Go away! The movie starts with Mewtwo learning about his origins as a clone and blowing up the laboratory he was cloned in. Then Giovanni, the leader of Team Rocket, convinces him to join him, but then Mewtwo realizes he's being used as a weapon and escapes from Giovanni's gym, which we see happen in the TV series. Mewtwo returns to the remains of the laboratory he was born in and starts his evil plan to rid the world of humans. Smash cut to Ash, Brock, Misty, and Pikachu having a picnic when a trainer challenges Ash to the extended original Pokemon theme song performed by Billy Crawford, which was definitely not the first song I downloaded on Napster. After the theme ends, the gang gets invited to an island to battle a mystery trainer who turns out to be Mewtwo, who has cloned all the Pokemon of the trainers that he sent invitations to. Also, he enslaved the local Nurse Joy into being his lackey. Mewtwo challenges all the trainers to a battle with his clones and just attacks them until Mew arrives to square off with Mewtwo. Pikachu and Team Rocket's Meowth and their clones realize how senseless the violence is and make peace with each other. So Ash takes a cue from that and, like any 10-year-old child left to fend for his own out in the wilderness, runs directly in between two super powerful beings wielding energy balls at each other while he yells about making peace, not war, or something. Instead of instantly exploding like he should have, he gets turned to stone, dead. But then Pikachu cries and all the clones cry and all the other Pokemon cry, and the tears bring Ash back to life and also convince Mewtwo that humans aren't so bad. So Mew and Mewtwo take all the clone Pokemon away to live in harmony, and Mewtwo erases everyone else's memories, and then for some reason Ash mentions that he saw a legendary bird the day he left Pallet Town. And that's Pokemon, the first movie in a Namely 90s minute. More or less.
And now back to the show.
Let's see. Ash takes a trip with his mom and Professor Oak, who she's definitely sleeping with if Mr. Mime isn't already sleeping with her, to the New York inspired region of Kalos in Pokemon Black and White, and he decides he wants to travel around Unova after losing. Nope, sorry. Kalos. Nope. Unova. Meant to write Unova. Meant to say Unova.
Wow. Well, that cleared it up.
When I said Kalos. Ash, yes. So, New York inspired Unova. Ash meets a girl named Iris, who's an aspiring dragon trainer, and Sillin, a local gym leader in Unova. I should point out, I stopped watching the show after the Johto series, and I stopped playing the games around after Diamond and Pearl. So this area is completely new to me. It's not that I didn't play them; I just didn't play them hardcore because I completed the Pokedex in Gen 4 and then haven't looked back until later. He leaves all of his Pokemon behind again, except for Pikachu. He catches a Pidove, which evolves into an Unpheasant, an Oshawott. I feel like you could work for Nintendo as their localization guy that just does the puns.
But the names have really devolved, so to speak.
No pun intended. Oshawott, which is the just one of the water starter for that area. T-Pig, and that evolved into a Pignite. Snivy, those are the three starters from that region. He got a Swaddle, which evolved eventually into a Lavaney. Jesus. These words are just a Palpitoad. It caught a Roggenrola that evolved into a Boldore, and a sunglasses wearing a Krokorok that evolved into a Crocodile and hatches a Scraggy.
Oh my god, this is a nightmare.
I know, these are all words that exist. Ash only makes it into the top 8 in the Virtus Conference, which is the Unova League. And Iris and Sillin depart after traveling back to Kanto with him. Also on that trip, they meet a journalist named Alexa, who in X and Y leads Ash to the French-themed region of Kalos and leaves him at the Prism Tower. Ash meets some new friends, Clement and Bonnie, and learns about mega evolutions while there.
Ooh.
They eventually meet a girl named Serena, who was saved by Ash when they were younger. Kids, they're supposed to be like 10 still or something, so I don't know.
So they were 3 at the time?
They were at like a Pokemon camp at Professor Oak's place, which was when they were like 6 or something. Ash again leaves his Pokemon behind for the new region, I think. He makes friends with an injured Froakie, who eventually becomes a Greninja that Ash has some secret bond to, and becomes Ash Greninja, which was a popular thing for a while during this series. He also catches a Fletchling that evolves into a Talonflame eventually. Hawlucha hatches a Noibat that evolves into a Noivern.
This is unreal.
Yep, these are all words. There are over 1,000 Pokemon now. And rescues a Gumi that eventually evolves into Gudra, who leaves during their travels there. And Ash makes it to runner-up in the Lumiose Conference, losing the final battle to Alain. It's a guy. Alan with an I. Another rival he picked up in the region. Serena, Clement, and Bonnie leave Ash as he returns to Pallet Town again. So we're almost there. Ash goes on vacation with his mom again, this time to the Hawaiian-inspired region of Alola, and they change his art style to look completely atrocious, which is the modern art style, but less refined. And Professor Oak asked them to take an egg to his kooky Alolan living cousin Samson. While there, Ash learns about a Pokemon school and learns about Z-Rings and Z-Moves, which is the new gimmick for this generation, and decides he wants to stay and study there and do the island challenge to get Z crystals.
Boy, the Japanese really like cultural appropriation, don't they?
So the first 3 regions, or the first 4 regions, were based off of the 4 different islands of 4 different main islands of Japan.
Oh, okay. The French island, the New York island.
No, that was the 5th, 6th, and now 7th.
I can't keep it all straight.
So the original Kanto is actually a name of an actual region in Japan. Johto is based off of, I don't know. I don't remember off the top of my head. Hoenn and then Shino, those are all based off of the 4 different Japanese islands or something to that effect. So once they were done appropriating their own culture, they then went out and tried to find stuff elsewhere. Ash catches Rowlet, a Rockruff that evolves into a Lycanroc, Litten that eventually evolves into an Incineroar, Naganadel. I looked at the photo of this one and I do not know what it is.
Naganadel?
Yep. And a Meltan that evolves into a Melmetal, which that's from Pokemon Go. Ash enters the first ever Manolo conference.
It's like a flying dragon with a hypodermic needle on it.
Yeah. And I don't recognize it because I have it. It's in my Pokedex, but I do not recall seeing that. The Alola League Championship. He enters the first ever Alola League Championship and wins. And Ash finally says goodbye to his friends / classmates and returns back to Pallet Town once again. And now let's take a pit stop into some controversies that Ash has had in his journeys. Of course, we've talked about some of these before, especially during our, I think it was this year or this past holiday specials, where we did the episode on Jinx, the Jinx Christmas episode. Jinx. I don't remember what the episode is called. But there's also Cyber Soldier Porygon, which induced 685 seizures among Japanese children due to a cyber battle. I put the wrong do there. Cyber battle with red and blue flashing lights appearing on screen too quickly and cause seizures.
Healthy.
The episode Beauty and the Beach with James and his inflatable boobs. I've talked about that one before too. Also, Misty gets sexualized in a swimsuit, and she's supposed to be like 10.
There's a comment to be made there about that. I'm not going to go there.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely, 25 years ago. I don't think Japanese culture really handles trans well.
Or apparently sexualizing children.
Yeah. I mean,
well, they're fictional children. It's fine.
No, that's not what I was saying. I was going to say a famous manga artist in like the last year or two got like arrested for just having loads of child pornography.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Although I don't think his art style had children in it, so that's the even creepier part because he claimed it was for research.
Oh God, I love America. Wait.
Yeah. No, that's why you get arrested and prosecuted. The episode Legend of Mini-Ryu. The Safari Zone warden has a gun, and so it's banned in America because you can't show guns on.
Yeah, you can't portray guns, but you can buy an AR-15 to shoot up an elementary school.
Oh, exactly. He catches like 30 Taurus, or Ash catches like 30 Taurus in this episode, and because it's missing, you have no idea. He's just
mowing them down. He's just got a bump stock and an extended, magazine.
Well, it's a 6-shooter pistol, but he shoots at them, and not Ash, the Safari Zone warden, and I'm pretty sure like he shoots like James in the head, but James doesn't die for some reason.
Is there any way to put a banana clip on a 6-shooter? There must be.
I think you'd have to like replace the magazine with some sort of like Tommy gun style loader.
He just lobs a flashbang
or like a Thompson gun.
Flash grenade.
They have those like
the drum.
Yeah. You'd have to like modify a drum type. You probably could. So yeah, he catches 30 Taurus, and then like in the series, you're just like, why does Ash have 30 Taurus at Professor Oak's place? Never know. Then there's the Ice Cave and the other Jinx episode, which is the one that we watched for the Christmas specials, because Jinx looks like Sambo, and or back when they
it's definitely a blackface situation.
Yeah, back when Jinx was still colored black instead of purple. There were 2 unaired episodes in Japan because of a tsunami type attack from a Pokemon, which in the wake of the tsunami from that caused the Fukushima meltdown, I couldn't remember which one that was. In Pokemon XYZ, yes, that was one of the later seasons of Pokemon X and Y. Examine your zipper. When Ash loses to Elaine. Oh, yeah, the episode where he loses the championship.
Elaine from Seinfeld?
Alan with an I. With an extra character. The Charizard that Alan should have lost, like the Charizard should have lost the type advantage to Ash Greninja, and like the entire series they're like, oh, Ash Greninja's Mega connection is more powerful than a regular Mega evolved Pokemon, and people our age just got so mad about that for some reason.
You said MAGA.
Ash dons a red hat on his Greninja.
Make Pokemon great again.
That's why they got rid of the old red hat that he used to have. Also, in an episode of Sun and Moon that's banned, Ash puts on what looks like blackface to capture a primate Pokemon called Passiman.
Yeah, I mean, he's no Robert Downey Jr. He can't just get away with it.
Well, I think it was like camo, but it was still halfway there. Also there are some temporarily removed episodes after 9/11, including the Tentacruel episode that was in like the intro. Like they show the clip of the Tentacruel just smashing into the building in every intro, but they never showed the episode. And then an episode titled Tower of Terror, which I think was the Haunter episode. And finally, Ash's final seasons take place on Netflix in Pokemon Journeys, where he works for a Pokemon lab in Viridian City. I want to say it's Viridian City, not Vermilion City. With his new friend Go, named after the game Pokemon Go for some reason, and their friend Chloe, who's the professor's daughter that they're working for, and Go's childhood friend. And Ash technically hasn't aged, but it feels like he's at least aged, I would say 4 years at this point.
Yeah, how can they just arrest the passage of time?
Right. And he's at least taller and older than both Chloe and Go. So like at the least he's 12. I would say he's at least 18. And shouldn't be hanging around these children.
Yeah.
Yeah. In this series, he travels to a new region called Galar, which was featured in the last generation of games, as well as all the old locations that he had already been to. And then Go's job is to catch every Pokemon he sees, and Ash wants to take part in the Coronation League finals, which requires him to battle all the trainers from around the world to rank up into the top 8 participants. He also learns about Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing, which is the gimmick for this season series.
Right.
Ash catches Dragonite, Gengar, Farfetch'd, which evolves into Surfetch'd, and he hatches a Riolu that eventually evolves into a Lucario. And he brings back a fossilized Pokemon called Dracovish because they combined 2 fossils that shouldn't have been combined together and brought it to life because they're crazy. As of the last part released on Netflix, Ash is in the Masters 8 tournament, but hasn't participated in his battle yet. So if you're avoiding spoilers, skip ahead 3 minutes or come back when the English episodes have come out. Ash wins the entire tournament. He finally wins. Like, he finally won the Alola tournament, but that doesn't mean anything. It's their first tournament. He wins the entire tournament from all of his journeys, with Pokemon from all of his journeys. And then, yeah, he's finally won. So he parts ways with his day job and Go and meets up with Misty and Brock to finish out his tenure as protagonist of the series and meet some other old friends before bowing out. The final episode should be airing this week in Japan, but as of writing this, fans are just angry that Team Rocket has disbanded officially in the third to final episode. Yeah, after chasing after Pikachu for 25 years in what appears to be a single year of life. But yeah, so Pokemon the animated series. So is Pokemon the animated series finally over?
Absolutely.
Absolutely not.
There's still plenty of money to be made, so I'm sure it'll continue.
Exactly. Aside from the numerous movies and side stories and miniseries, I didn't even talk about like the 30 movies they have.
And so the franchise continues. That's me imitating the voiceover from the end of the episode.
Yeah. There's no way it's over. In fact, the new season starting next month in April stars 2 new protagonists, Liko and Roy, as they travel around the Paldea region, which is the setting of the current generation of games, Scarlet and Violet, as they attend the Pokemon Academy and venture around the region. Liko is a girl native to the area, while Roy comes from Kanto, which is Ash's home region. And between them, they'll have all 3 of the Paldean starters, Sprigato, the weed cat, Fuoco, the fire dragon lizard thing, and Quaxley. Fuoco, and Quaxley, the gayer Donald Duck, who evolves into a very performative dancing duck. There will be. I'll send you.
No, wearing no underpants.
It looks like a skin tight suit and a boa. Yeah, I'll send you the videos later. There will also be another character, Freddy. Freddy
wants a nanny. Freddy needs a nanny.
Whose Pokemon is Captain Pikachu, because you can't get rid of the mascot. So long, Ash. May your final journey be a fun one. Yeah, that was a long bit of post-90s content.
It was a lot, but
it was, yeah. I didn't even go into like the side stories of Ash battling whatever evil is going on in that region. I mean, they managed to milk like 3 to 4 years worth of season or series out of like a game for a setting. So it's been a long run, Ash.
It's sort of miraculous. I think part of the issue is like, obviously they were appealing to different generations as they went along, but like things get too complicated, you know,
with the mega evolutions and the Z crystals and the,
like, it's just the case where a lot of things used to be a lot easier, but as they've evolved, so to speak, they become overwhelmingly complicated and like inaccessible if you haven't kept up. It's like the whole Marvel thing, right? Like it's now fairly inaccessible if you have not seen most of the previous movies.
Right.
Like
and
it gets
now TV series. And
it's like daunting for a newcomer to get into it, you know?
But for Ash, though, you can jump on at any point because it doesn't. Every episode explains the same thing as I will probably mention in my Namely 90s Minute that we heard earlier.
I guess you could say that Ash has finally burned out.
And that's it for this week's deep dive edition of Namely 90s. Remember, you can find new episodes out every Monday. Join us next week for another variety show episode. Find us on Instagram at Namely90s with 90s and tell us what you want us to talk about on future deep dive episodes. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Namely90s, also with the 90s. Finally, you can also contact us through our website, Namely90s.com. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Audible, Pokemon, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeart, Good Pods, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon, that's Andrew, and we'll catch you next time.
Porekake.